Today, we're going to focus on evaluating, using, and citing your sources. It is absolutely essential for you to know how to evaluate sources for credibility so that you know whether or not the information you're using is accurate and factual. To do this, we're going to start off with a brief video. It's about 3 minutes on evaluating for credibility. So please watch the video for the 4 areas you should evaluate in order to determine the credibility of a site. Now that you have watched the video, we are going to focus on those 4 areas which we will be noting as CARP: currency, authority, reliability, and purpose. And we'll remember that because we're going to ask ourselves, is this website fishy? So these are the 4 areas we're going to focus in on. We're going to do one at a time, zeroing in on the areas that you need to look at and how you can find them. The first part of CARP is currency. For this, you want to check on the most recent information that you can possibly find. So when you're looking at currency, find the date with which the article was written or the website was updated. Really what we're looking for is something within the last 5 years. Now, please don't hold that as like the end-all be-all. 5 years is an overall recommendation. Some articles should be more recent if they are health and science-based, in which we are constantly finding updates. You're going to want to find something even more recent than 5 years. However, there are topics history-based, let's say on Abraham Lincoln and how he died, that it really doesn't matter about how old it is because the information isn't going to change. So really, you want to make sure that you know your topic, and because you are focusing on current issues, you really want to make these as recent as possible. So try to look, but if you do find something that's, let's say, 7 years old, but it's got solid information, don't disregard that article. So where can I find the currency? I can usually find it at the top of an article or at the bottom of the page. So if it's at the top, it's usually underneath the title. And if it's at the bottom, it's usually at the very bottom, kind of like that copyright date. So we're going to go look at this article over here, the coronavirus bioweapon. So if we take a look, like I said, it's usually underneath the title. So here it is. In our case, it's January 26, 2020. If it wasn't here, again, it would be all the way at the bottom. It would typically be down here if we had it. So here you can see copyright 2020. Okay, so those are those 2 areas in which you should be looking for the C for currency. Now, if you really can't find the date, sometimes it's hard to find. We do have a tool called the Metadata Wizard, and this will allow you to copy and paste the URL of any website into it. So if we go ahead to the Metadata Wizard, we can type it in, paste it in, and see if it can give us what we're looking for. Now, sometimes it won't be able to pull it up. Okay, so like this says no information is available, but other times it will be able to give that to you, but it is another option just in case. So now what I'd like you to do is identify the C in CARP. You're going to take a look at this article that I've linked here, and I want you to look at the currency and determine, just based on the C alone, would you use this article? Okay, now that you had a chance to look at the C, we're going to talk about A for authority. Authority is the first criteria you should consider, but it's also the most important. This is the one you should absolutely use to determine whether or not you would use an article. So to find this, you're going to look at either the About page. You could see that it will give you the qualifications of the author. And usually when you're using something that's a solid research-based piece, it's going to list like the PhD of the person or their area of expertise, because the only articles you should be using are ones in which the person who wrote them is an expert in the field. Okay, do they give contact information? Typically, if someone's taken the time to research an issue, they want to be contacted about it so that they are absolutely sharing their information and maybe learning more in the process. Is a biography listed, or do they give credentials? Again, this usually appears when you have someone who is an expert in the field. And if it's not an author, an individual who wrote this, but a company or organization who hosts the page, ask yourself, who is this company? Do you know them? Are they someone you've heard of before? Before you go ahead and use that information, you should know whether or not this company is one that you would trust. What if you can't find information about the author? Well, you should look in a couple of places. Again, look under that title of the article. They usually like to put their name front and center, or look at the very bottom of the site at the bottom of the article, or you can always check the contact us section. Okay, this should have thorough information about the source and not just an email. So if we go back to our article here, we're going to look and see if we can find the name of a person. So I'm looking here. I don't see the name of a person right there. So that leaves me to start checking down below. So I'm going to keep scrolling through until I can get to the bottom of the article and see if I can find some information. Okay, lots of details, lots of links, images, videos. So I should be coming to the end of it soon. Okay, so here I am. It tells me that the story has been published in full in one of the world's largest Chinese TV news networks. Okay, and then it says we need your support to carry on our investigative research based journalism. Now that concerns me because if this is a legitimate fact-based resource, they shouldn't be asking for me to fund anything. They should have already guaranteed their funding ahead of time. And it says that Great Game India is a journal, and this is who's written it. So that would lead me to do some investigation on Great Game India. Okay, so I went ahead and did a search on Great Game India Journal, and what pops up right away is that it's an Indian news and political site that's promoted false and unsubstantiated healthcare conspiracy theories. Okay, and then another one says it's a fake story. So right off the bat here, obviously my suspicions are confirmed, and I would not be using this article. Doing a quick research gave me that answer. Okay, so now it's your turn. You're going to go back to that same article you used for currency, and you're going to determine whether or not, based upon the A, would you use this article? Is your author someone credible? Now that you've looked at A, we're going to focus on R, which has two focuses. Is it reliable and is it relevant? So reliable, you're going to be checking things such as, do the links work and do they lead you to more credible sites? Because they should. They should have other links that show you places and people who have also researched this information who are going to give you that other updates and facts to help you out. Do they give a bibliography list? Absolutely should be there. Anyone who has done research has looked at other resources to verify and substantiate their claims. Do they have spelling or grammatical errors? If they do, big heads up. Everything worthwhile should have been edited. Have you checked multiple sources for accuracy? Just like you saw in your video at the beginning, you should be checking a couple of sites and getting the exact same information. If you don't, it should put up some red flags about this article that you're looking at. And does it provide necessary information for my topic? So that's the relevant part. Is it relevant to your topic? Is it going to help you answer your question that you're focusing on? If it's not, don't waste your time. Move on to a different article. You don't want to spend more time researching than you have to. Okay, so if you can't confirm the reliability, we do have this wonderful tool called ProQuest Research Companion, of which when you click on it, you will create your own username login. I would highly recommend using the one that was given to you by school, your Google username and password. And if you go to the source evaluation aid and plug in your URL, it will give you some information about that article. So in this case, it tells me mine was in .org, and it says that anyone can use them, could be used by a nonprofit organization. So just like telling me, heads up, they might be wanting money from you. It's owned by a union of concerned scientists. Now that is a huge red flag because if I look down here with their description, it looks like there might be some bias in here. And I don't want to use something with bias, so I have to be careful. So make sure that you're using all the tools that are given to you so that you can be absolutely on top of your research. Okay, so now it's your turn. Go ahead and identify the R in CARP using that exact same website that you have. And would you use this article based on R? Okay, so the last one we have here is P, purpose. So what is the purpose of the website? What are they trying to do? Are they trying to persuade me? Are they trying to use their bias to get me to see their side of things? They should just be presenting me with facts, no opinions. To avoid articles that have political, cultural, religious, or personal biases within there. If I note that, disregard the article, move on to a new one. Anyone who really just wants to inform you isn't going to put their personal beliefs within. You want, again, that B, to inform. They should be objective and impartial in their work. Are they trying to entertain? Okay, I would know that because there should be clickbait or poking fun. If I go back to my coronavirus one and I scroll back up to the top, right off the bat here, I see support. And again, that's a big red flag. They shouldn't be asking for me to support them. And are they trying to advertise, just like Great Game India? Okay, if they're trying to sell you something, find a different article. Again, not worth your time. Some ways to take a look at this are the domains. So if you look at .org here, this is not a restricted domain, so just be careful and verify the legitimacy of the organization, like our Union of Concerned Scientists, and this could have bias, so be careful. .gov are generally excellent sources of information. It's out by the government. Just look at it and decide whether or not it's for you. .edu, again, can often be excellent sources of information, but they can also host student projects. So just make sure you're using something that is peer reviewed, which means someone has done the research and had multiple experts in the field review it. And then .com, always examine these carefully. These are commercial based and they can involve pretty much anything. Any one of us can create a .com. Okay, so just make sure that you're looking at these domains and really reading in and seeing if there is bias or if it's just fact-based. Okay, so now it's your turn. Identify the P in CARP in that same article, and based on the P, would you use this article? Bottom line, why is this so important? A question I always get asked. Well, here we are. More than 96% of high school students surveyed failed to, one, recognize bias in controversial topics today. We don't want you to be part of that 96%. We want you to be able to recognize when someone's trying to sway you in their beliefs so that you know, hey, this is in fact, and I need to find out more about it. And 52% believe that a grainy video on Facebook that claimed to show ballot stuffing, which was actually shot in Russia, constituted very strong evidence of voter fraud in the United States. Okay, that's concerning. We should be able to recognize these things for what they are. So one main concern is with voting in your near future, research by Stanford education scholars finds that prospective young voters are poorly equipped to evaluate the sources of online content. And really, we want you to be able to make informed choices when it comes to voting, but also informed choices when it comes to things like buying a car, picking a doctor, all of these things of which you will be doing one day. So it is time for you to use your investigative skills. It's time for you to detect false information from real. So you're going to, at this point, use all of your skills from CARP and begin your research. Good luck.